but not really. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Over the next week to week and a half, you're going to be messing with your settings on this. When I leave today, I'm going to put salt in the system. And then what you want to do is shove the two of them in to go swimming with the pool off.
The pool off?
The pool off.
Okay.
Right now, I have it set somewhere between 50 and 60%. Pretty close to the 50%. What that does is it controls that tube that's over on the other side there, which is your ionic control. That is basically your salt system. Convert salt to chlorine. The way that it works, when I first dump the salt in, I'm going to put in like 10 bags or 11 or 9 or whatever. When it dissolves, which is part of the reason why I want them to go swimming, unless it's lightning, don't do that.
Got it.
That'll get it dissolved. Then this time tomorrow, turn it to automatic. At that point, wait another 24 hours and come out here and take a look at it, and it will give you an accurate reading as to what the salt level is. At the same time, test the water for your chlorine production, and I would test it for your pH and your alkalinity too, because it might be a little higher or a little low, need adjusted. As a rule of thumb, once your pool's adjusted where it needs to be on pH, since it's a salt system, it doesn't fluctuate very much unless you do crazy stuff like throw 50 people in there and 20 of them are kids and they can't hold a bladder. But what happens is the 50% that I have it set at right now, for every 10 minutes that a time that goes by, it'll be generating 5 minutes worth of chlorine. And that may be too much, it may not be enough for your pool.
Okay.
So start testing it after it's been turned back on for that 24 hours.
Okay.
And if it's a little low, take and turn your dial up. If it's a little high, turn your dial down a little bit. And that's a trial and error thing. It's going to take a few days to a week, week and a half to figure it out.
Okay.
Once you have that figured out, leave this alone.
Okay.
At that point, the only thing that this tests for is your salt levels. But this lets you know where your chlorine, your pH, your alkalinity, and stabilizers and everything's supposed to be.
Okay.
Your chlorine's supposed to be 1 to 3 parts per million. For me, 3 parts per million is ideal. That's where you want to keep it.
Okay.
For the salt, it says 2,700 to 3,400. If you're 2,700, it's probably not running effectively. So you never want it to get down to 2,700. What I usually tell people is pick a number, ideally 3,000 or 3,200.
Okay.
When it drops by 100 points, throw a bag in the pool.
Okay.
Cut it open first, of course. But yeah,
Okay, so like right now it says 2,800, but that's probably not accurate.
that's not accurate because there's no salt.
No salt in the pool.
Yeah.
So if it's, let's say we get it to 30.
Let's say on the initial
To 3,000.
charge it goes up to 3,400 or 3,500, and you want to keep it at 3,000. Over time, it'll eventually drop down to that 3,000.
Okay.
When it does, and it drops to 2,900,
Put
dump a
some
bag
more
of
in.
salt in,
Okay.
and it'll raise it by the 100 points.
Okay.
And you may have to do that once every 2 months or 3 months or 4 months unless you're doing the water fountains a lot.
Okay.
Water fountains have a tendency of dissipating the salt into the air, and it'll burn your salt up quicker.
Okay.
The other thing is, let's say that you know you're going to have bad storms going through, or you suspect you're going away for a weekend and they're going to have every one of their girlfriends in the local town and the neighboring community over for a pool party.
Yeah, drinking beer and all that.
Turn it up to superchlor.
Superchlor. Okay.
What that will do is it will run the cell 24 hours a day.
Okay.
100% production. Just max the thing out. Once the immediate danger's over and you pop it back down to auto, it'll still do it for another 24 hours and then it'll go back to default to what you have set here.
Okay.
So never change that, just do the superchlor auto.
Okay. So like we're having, say we have a party on And there's
Memorial Day.
20 people. Yeah, whatever.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. That the day that
The
people
day
are here, and
before,
it'll keep.
earlier that morning,
Oh,
or something like that.
Okay.
And then after the last one leaves, kick them in the patootie and pump it back down to auto.
Auto. Okay.
So that's pretty good. The one thing that will end up happening from time to time is it'll say inspect cell. The inspect cell is not real hard. You may want to either call your husband out here or one of these two burly guys. And what you do is you turn it off. You want to close this and do the close setting up there. You should be able to do this by hand. Take and open the collar there and the collar here. Remove the cell and look through it. Make sure there's nothing obstructing it because there's a whole bunch of plates going through it. If there's no issues, put it back in, tighten it up, reset the system.
Okay.
If there's issues in there, just a regular hose with your thumb or spray nozzle or something. If it's not coming out for some reason, then it doesn't work.
Okay. Okay.
That's something you're supposed to do every 3 months. When you do that, on this side, what you want to do before you actually take that out is unplug this.
Okay. So before you take the cell out and look in it and see if there's crap in it, you unplug the cell here.
Yeah.
And you turn the pump and all that stuff off, right?
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to be
Spewing water everywhere. Okay.
The reason why you unplug this is if this isn't unplugged while you're doing it, it thinks that you haven't unhooked the cell to check it.
It thinks you have
Somebody's
not?
back. Yep.
Okay.
I got here too soon. I thought you'd be finished to get the instructions.
You can run away real quick. I didn't see anything. But yeah, that's a built-in safety mechanism on this. Is basically you're trying to fake me out. So unplug, do your thing over there, plug it back in. To reset the system, the little diagnostic button, press it and hold it for 7-second count.
Okay. I'm assuming that instruction is in there somewhere.
It
About
should
resetting.
be on your book, which somebody should have left, but if not, you can go online and you can either download the book or you can read it online or whatever. From time to time, some electricians forget to leave it or it gets rings messed up on it. But
Okay, let me ask you one quick question about after you put the salt in, and we're having the system will be off for 24 hours,
Yep.
and then we'll turn it back on.
24 hours or when it's all dissolved. Let's say that these two guys go in there and they do an incredibly good job swimming around and getting the water mixed in, and 4 hours later it's good to go.
How do you know it's good to go? Looking at
Do you
it?
see any salt in the pool?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at that point, go ahead and turn it to automatic. Wait 24 hours or a little more, and then you'll be getting your accurate ratings. And at that point, when you do your water testing, either do test strips, the little eyedropper things where you do the color thing, or if you want to do it down to like Hollywood Pools or someplace and let them digitally scan it and so forth, which is a good idea. Do not get a Coke bottle or a Coke container or something like that and use it because it's going to have remnants of Coke in there, and Coke is incredibly acidic.
Well,
So
actually,
just
we have a bottle
use
that
a water
Hollywood
bottle
gave
or
us
a
for
perfect.
the spa. So,
I'd use the same thing then.
thought of something. When we have to add another bag of salt,
Just pour it straight into the deep
Pour-
end. You don't have to do anything special.
you don't have to turn it off. And
No,
nothing.
that's
You just
initial.
pour it
That's
in.
initial charge because I'm putting 500 pounds of stuff in there versus a 40-pound bag.
Okay. Okay. And you said run it 24/7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your husband is holding down the pins for the timer.
Yeah, we're kind of familiar with that because that's just like my sister's pool has that same exact kind of timer thing on her, so I'm kind of familiar with it.
I wouldn't use the timer.
Okay.
If you insist on using the timer, my honest suggestion is use it for 6 to 8 hours, no more than 8, overnight only. Don't turn it off during the day. But here's my take on the system. If you're not circulating the water, are your chemicals not dropping out of it to the bottom?
Probably, I don't know.
The way I take a look at it is and this is an analogy that I used to use and probably need to get back to. Orange juice concentrate. Frozen stuff, mix it with water the night before, that way it's nice and cold for you the next morning. You go, you grab it, what happens?
Oh,
Hold
so
the
for the bottom.
bottom. You have a spoon big enough to pull?
Okay.
So as long as it's circulating the water, your chemicals stay mixed with the water, for one. For two, if you're circulating the water, you're purifying the water and removing contaminants. Part number three, the salt system will only work as long as water's going through it. If you turn it off,